For months, we watched as the clock ticked down to the end of the EV tax credit, and now the final month is here. The sprint to the finish line for buyers to get thousands of dollars off their new car. But while some are racing to claim the credit before it expires on September 30th, a more crucial conversation is just beginning. The real question is not will you get the credit, but rather what happens the day after it's gone. This isn't just a minor policy change, it's a financial shift that could redefine the automotive landscape, impacting everything from dealership showrooms to the very air we breathe. Let's dive into what this means for your next car purchase, the industry, and what the future is of how we drive. For years, government incentives have been a powerful catalyst in the electric vehicle revolution. Think of it as a significant leg up for a nascent industry. The federal EV tax credit, offering up to $7,500 for new vehicles and $4,000 for used, has been a major factor in bridging the price gap between electric and traditional gasoline cars. And these credits weren't just a bonus. For many, they made EV ownership financially feasible. But this reliance on incentives, while effective, created an underlying challenge. What happens when the crutch is removed? Are EVs ready to stand on their own? The impending expiration just isn't about lost discount, it's about testing the true market demand and the inherent value proposition of electric. The Inflation Reduction Act, while initially boosting EV incentives, contained provisions that tied the credits to domestic manufacturing and sourcing of battery components. The latest developments, as reported, indicate that a new tax and spending bill passed in July of 2025 brought forward the full expiration of these federal credits to September 30th, 2025. This move effectively ends the program sooner than many anticipated. And it's crucial to distinguish between federal and state incentives. While the big federal check is disappearing, some state level, local, and even utility based incentives for EVs or charging infrastructures may continue. For example, some reports suggest continued credits for home charging equipment that could last up until mid 2026. However, the largest, most widely applicable incentive is indeed vanishing. This isn't just a gradual phase out, it is a hard stop. As the deadline looms, we're already seeing predictable market behavior. Dealerships and automakers are leveraging the impending expiration to drive sales. Reports suggest a significant surge in EV purchases in recent months as consumers, or often referred to as fence sitters, rush to claim the credit while they still can. Automakers like Hyundai, Toyota, General Motors, Ford, and Honda have reported record or near record sales for their electrified vehicles. Marketing campaigns are featuring countdown timers, emphasizing the last chance to save thousands. This short term boost, while good for Q3 2025 sales reports, creates an interesting dynamic, a temporary acceleration before a potential shutdown. Once September 30th passes, what happens to the EV market? Industry analysts largely predict a significant slowdown in adoption. Without the $7,500 incentive, the upfront cost of many EVs becomes considerably higher, eroding one of their key competitive advantages. Some studies project a substantial drop in EV sales, with one forecast suggesting up to 38% fewer EVs on the road by 2035 compared to a baseline if the credit had continued. Automakers will face new pressures. They may respond by reevaluating pricing. Some models might see price adjustments or reduce production if demand significantly drops. Offering new incentives. To counteract the federal loss, manufacturers might introduce their own leasing deals, rebates, or financing incentives to keep those prices attractive. Focusing on affordability, the push for more affordable EVs, partly driven by competition from the Chinese market, is likely to intensify. Lower battery costs and more efficient manufacturing will become even more critical. The used EV market could also see shifts. While the used EV tax credit is expiring, declining prices in this segment might still make them an attractive option for budget conscious buyers. Now let's consider the other side of the garage. What does the end of the EV tax credit mean for gasoline powered vehicles? Combined with reports of reversals in other federal regulations concerning fuel economy and emissions, policies designed to push manufacturers toward electrification, the impact could be significant. We could see increased sales. Some analysis suggests that a weakened regulatory environment for EVs and a loss of incentives could lead to an increase in gasoline vehicle sales, potentially by the millions of units in the coming years. Short term price stability. Automakers may face less pressure to innovate in the ICE or gasoline segment, potentially leading to more stable or even lower prices for traditional vehicles in the short term, though consumers might pay more in fuel costs over the vehicle's lifespan. Slower transition. A significant hurdle for EV adoption effectively reinforces the market for internal combustion engine vehicles, potentially slowing down the broader transition to cleaner transportation. Essentially, the playing field is leveling out, and in some ways, tipping back towards the familiar comfort and established infrastructure of gasoline cars. The expiration of the federal EV tax credit on September 30th isn't the end for electric vehicles, far from it. What it is, however, is a profound reset button for the North American auto industry. It forces EVs to compete on their own merits, their driving experience, lower running costs, and environmental benefits, rather than relying on a direct government subsidy. This shift will undoubtedly test the resilience of the EV market. We'll likely see a short term dip in adoption, forcing automakers to innovate more aggressively in affordability and technology. Simultaneously, it could give gasoline vehicles an unexpected second wind, especially when other environmental regulations are also eased. The future of driving, particularly in North America, is about to enter a fascinating and potentially unpredictable new chapter. The race isn't over, it's just entering a new, more competitive phase where innovation, cost, and consumer appeal will be the ultimate determinants of success.